All right, Coach, obviously coming off a game against St. Thomas that you guys fell, what are you kind of looking to in this game on Thursday against Denver?
I hope Samaya stands here and repeats what I say, but we have been emphasizing extensively boxing out, rebounding technique, and taking care of the ball. I think those are two things that we walk away from that game saying we needed to improve significantly in order to change the outcome of that game. And we know we have two incredibly tough teams coming into the Betty this week, and if we don't take care of those two things, then we really don't have much of a chance. And so we have to get really crisp and clean with the ball, make sure that we're taking care of it, give ourselves as many opportunities to score as possible, and then rebound, limit their opportunities.
And obviously Saturday, a big game with NDSU. What's kind of the rivalry mean to you?
Well, it's huge. I'll be honest. Back when I played, we didn't get the opportunity to play North Dakota State or SDSU, truly. So South Dakota was the rival that I had. So I really look at this as a rivalry week and not necessarily one game waiting for Saturday to kind of have that intensity and that feel. It feels like it's rivalry game Thursday, rivalry game on Saturday. But it means a ton. I think there's a lot of pride on the line, and we do have a lot of young players, and they're going to get the opportunity to get a feeling that maybe they haven't had playing against teams that maybe have games that have a little bit more meaning. And we'll definitely make sure that they're extensively aware of the past between both us and NDSU.
Yeah, obviously it's January. I guess it's gonna be February when you guys play them. But what can your team still learn, I guess, from these types of series?
I don't think this team is going to find a day that we're not still learning, if I'm being honest. I do think that one of the biggest things they'll learn is just the intensity that is required. I think there's been a increase in that feeling since we went into Summit League play, because we did talk about, and not to diminish non-conference, but we talked about how the entire non-conference portion of our schedule is to prepare ourselves for Summit League play. That's literally why we play those games. And so you feel like that intensity gets revved up a little bit more once you put the Summit League game on the line. Well, now you add the word Dakota in there, and it probably revs up even more. And both teams are going to walk onto the floor wanting it very bad. And just wanting it really bad isn't going to be enough. We're going to have to do the things that are required to win. And so I think the intensity, the attention to detail, and all those things are things that our team is going to learn very quickly.
You have to like that it's at home too, just in the sense of it doesn't really mesh up your normal routine too.
Yeah, we love playing at home, obviously, for the fan base and to feel the energy that the crowd provides. I don't think it takes away anything when we go on the road, and quite frankly, we're going to end the road with, 3 of the Dakota schools at their place. And so, we love being in front of our fans. We love the energy that they bring to us and just kind of the emotion they can bring to the game, and I think our team feeds off of that. So big for us to maybe get these feelings when we feel like there's more people having our backs.
It has to be kind of relieving, not I would say relieving, but the fact that some of your underclassmen have really stepped up the last few games too to kind of form their own identity.
That's been something that we've been really trying to search for, I think. Not necessarily like reliant on others, but just having that feeling of multiple people stepping up and multiple people being threats to us or for us. And that started to kind of happen. I still think in that Big Sky Summit League Challenge, I think that was one of the turning points a little bit for us, where it felt like we started to get things going in the right direction. Because I vividly think of the Idaho State game and the multiple scorers we had and multiple people making plays. And in that game specifically, Miranda had an awesome game. What a great game for her confidence. And just since then, we've probably had more games where we've had multiple people scoring double figures, assist to field goal ratio a little bit higher, and we've certainly had some games where that hasn't been the case. But we've seen how that has led to our success. So, yeah, I think when we get some of those younger players involved, it helps us.
So looking at the South Dakota series specifically, it was a 14-game win streak for South Dakota last year, and then being able to beat them at the Betty, and by 17, too, a really significant win. And now having them then again this year, sort of how's that like to be able to sort of set a streak now with them at the Betty potentially?
Well, I think that was huge for our team's confidence. First off, it had been a long stretch since we had really done well against any Dakota school. But, yeah, South Dakota had really had our number for what felt like a really long time, and quite frankly, a lot of those losses weren't close. And so, yeah, for us to have that, and that's kind of what I mean. Our team, I think of last year, they had an intensity about them that game, and quite frankly, I'm sure Samaya remembers me having a little intensity in a timeout at one point. But yeah, I mean, our team felt that was a rivalry, that game meant something to us, and that it was a huge game, and they treated it as such. And I think that, you know, this year, yeah, we're going to hope to build off of what we've done. We know that South Dakota is a very good team, and you know, last year, I think when they came to our place in that game, their numbers were dwindling immensely. I think they had maybe 6, maybe 7 available players at that point due to injury, but it didn't take away from the fact that we were ready to do whatever it took to win, and our team brought it, and we're going to have to do the same this week.
Kind of in that same vein with NDSU last season, too. I mean, I was talking to them earlier this week kind of on their end, how it was sort of felt like revenge on that bit, and sort of for y'all, too, on how big of a deal that was, the intensity of that game, and to go back and try to do it again this year. I mean, what's sort of the mindset going into that, even after South Dakota?
You know, that's one of those games that I'll always look at South Dakota as a bit of a rival, given, you know, my history. I think South Dakota State falls into there. Unfortunately, we haven't probably competed with them enough for them to think of us as much yet. But NDSU, you don't have to tell anyone on our team that that's our rivalry. They know it. They feel it. They went to that football game. They felt it then, and they cared about it then too. And so, yeah, I don't think you got to ask anyone to bring it. I think the energy is going to be really high, and quite frankly, we've. Maybe I shouldn't give away our secrets unless you got some from NDSU, but, you know, we've had coaches that have watched every single game that our Dakota schools have played all year long. And so our coaches have been devoted heavily, and we feel like we have great game plans, great scouting reports, and we're incredibly prepared for these Dakota games because, quite frankly, we've had them circled all year long.